Welcome to my channel, INTJ Island. Today, I'm going to talk about an INTJ left with an incompletely stated thought. It is January 11, 2020, and there are 5 inches of new snow outside on the ground. I've had a tough few weeks recently. I think my granddaughter brought home a cold from school in mid-December and shared it with Grandma and Grandpa. The symptoms seem to match what I've heard that a number of others have been experiencing. Along with simply feeling bad, there has been a stubborn cough that I am still dealing with, but it has slowly and begrudgingly given ground. Hopefully it will be gone soon. I went out a couple of days in a row in the cold on December 19 and 20 to enjoy the snow on the first day, where my new 1-year-old granddaughter and new daughter-in-law experienced their first snowball fight and were introduced to the fun of building their first snowman. The next day, after a heavy rain, the snow had melted, and my oldest son and I took my 8-year-old granddaughter and 4-year-old grandson out back to knock a wiffle ball around. Those outings were wonderful, and they were very much worth the price I paid for doing it. However, the cold that I thought I had already overcome came back with a vengeance, and the next couple of weeks I felt very bad. My friend from the Midwest expressed his concern about pneumonia for guys our age. But fortunately, even though I spiked a fever around 101 degrees Fahrenheit, it passed in just a few hours and it didn't come back. The cough remained centered above the lungs and never moved down into them. Hopefully, now I am on the mend. Enough whining. I hope you all had a wonderful New Year's Day and that 2020 will be a good year for you. During this time, I experienced what I thought was going to be a discussion, but rather it turned out to be a monologue by another party. I began to state my point, but I was unable to proceed because the other party rejected the attempt, despite my request to be heard. And then he went on to restate the tired standard argument on the subject based upon feelings rather than facts. What bothered me was not that we disagreed on a point. Any two people will disagree on many things, even if they are generally like-minded. But it was a complete lack of interest in hearing a different point of view and the facts upon which it was based that frustrated me. With a stranger or someone I don't care about, it is no big deal to walk away. But when it is someone who is dear to me, I am left with a confusing situation. I had spent a great deal of time researching the topic in the past and would happily have enlightened the other party, but what confused me was the lack of interest in the facts. However, when it comes to relationships, the relationship is far more important than any external topic or understanding, especially on religion or politics. So I completely stood down and disengaged from the conversation. The next morning I woke up early and watched my own video in INTJ's Anger at Ignorance, and it was surprisingly good at calming me down. I found that under the surface my introverted feeling had been screaming to get into the event, but fortunately I had been able to keep the lid on it until I could deal with it in my own quiet way. There are times in life when I feel like I am standing on the top of a mountain, all alone and screaming at the clouds with their lightning and thunder crashing around me. Listen to me! Most of the time when I am pursuing a topic, I am alone and reading or watching videos and pulling in all the data I can find to help with my internal picture of what reality holds in this area. When I am endeavoring to express myself to others, it is very frustrating to begin speaking after forming the words in my head that will convey a delicate, well-thought-out idea, and I can see the exact path clearly that I must take in order to convey understanding, if not actual agreement, and once I have begun, rather than listening, the other party rejects what I have to say outright, either talking over it or walking away from the discussion. For myself, I don't tend to shout down such a reaction. There is no point in trying to force someone to understand you when he has no desire to understand. It is time to change the topic of discussion because there is no discussion. We live life around people constantly who have opinions on a myriad of topics that are different and often contrary with our own. We interface with them and may very much enjoy their company. It is rather interesting when people can do this in a civilized way. INTJs, of course, are usually good at solo work in most things, and so we have spent our lives insulating ourselves from others and their confusion. But how do other types deal with it? When you are unable to keep your mouth shut and you must talk incessantly, it is hard to hide what you are thinking. Do such people try and dominate the opinions of others, or do they conform to the groupthink? Or perhaps, do they only pretend to agree in order to keep the peace? Society is filled with all the various personality types, and somehow we have to make it work. The way it works is profoundly complex. In a scene I wrote for a yet-to-be-published work, the young INTJ Stacy Colt is trying to understand the group around her, and she turns to her father, Bill Colt, and asks, "Why are personal relationships so difficult?" He laughs and replies, "If you figure that out, please let me know." Does this resonate with you? How do you deal with people who want to talk but will not listen? This is my first video for 2020, and I'm going to keep it short. I hope you don't mind. If you enjoyed the video, please click like. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. If you click on the bell, you will also receive notifications when I put up a new video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.